Hello everyone and welcome to the Whistler Jacket Sew Along. I'm excited to get started. I'm glad that you have joined me. Either if you're joining me while the sew along is happening or later on down the road you want to make a Whistler jacket and there's a step that you need help on. I'm glad you're here. So the sew along is being sponsored by the Fabric Fairy and of course Green Style Creations, who is the one who designed the pattern. The Fabric Fairy is whose fabric that I'm going to be using. So just to get started, I'm going to go through fabric types that you might want to use for your jacket. So the jacket is designed for fabrics with very low stretch, not no stretch. You do need at least about 20% stretch, but very low stretch. So you're not going to be using like your really stretchy athletic fabrics. If you do, you may need to size down because the jacket is going to fit a lot larger on you if you're using really stretchy fabric. Let's see. So the fabric types that you would like to use. The one I'm going to be using for the sew along will be a stretch woven. And a lot of people and that might not be something you have in your stash. Like you think of woven, you might think of quilting cotton, or you might think of apparel wovens. Well, stretch woven is an apparel woven that has a little bit of spandex to it. So I'm going to be using one that's from the Fabric Fairy. They have, I've tried several different of their stretch woven and they're all a little different. So like for example, the charcoal is a much sturdier fabric. It's a little thicker. The ones that say carbon on them, they're also a heavier weight stretch woven and thicker. While the hot pink and the black have a little bit more drape to them, or a little bit slippery. They do have a few prints. It's called stretch. I think it's like board short, like some type of a stretch board short that I really like. And it's kind of like a combination of what I love about the thicker ones and then what I love about the thinner ones. So it does have a little drape, but it's not very slippery. So I made sure to cut really well so I had enough to make maxi shorts out of it because they have really nice drape for shorts too. Okay, so stretch woven. There's lots of different types of stretch woven. So you're really gonna wanna feel it and see if it's the right thickness for the type of jacket you want. If you want a lighter weight jacket, I would say definitely go with the Fabric Fairy, the regular stretch wovens. If you want a thicker one, go with the carbon stretch woven. There's also, I've gotten some from the Styled Magnolia before. That's a nicer weight one. It's not a thin stretch woven. So that's also a nice option if you find any in stock there. I've found stretch woven at Joann's. The one that I like, their stretch chiffon, it's more appropriate for maxi shorts or a pace skirt. It's thinner, so I don't know that I'd want a jacket out of that unless you really wanted a very lightweight jacket. And if you did get a very lightweight jacket, you'd also want a smaller zipper. Otherwise, you're gonna have a really bulky zipper against a light fabric. Okay, so moving aside from woven, you can also, there's a lot of different knit fabrics that would work. So think of Ponte, there's also Liverpool. There's a lot of very stable knit fabrics that have lower stretch. I found a lot of the quilted knits. Like whenever I first discovered them, I bought a lot of them because I thought, oh man, these are gonna make great jackets. And then I got them in the mail and they all had really low stretch. And I'm like, well, what am I gonna make with this? Because a lot of the patterns I had were designed for fabric that needed a lot of stretch. So they've just kind of sit in my closet. So I was so excited about this pattern because now I can use a lot of those fabrics that I bought that didn't have enough stretch for the other patterns. Okay, so you can use a quilted knit, you can use Ponte, fleece. Oh, like fleece, like the sweatshirt type fleece. A lot of those do not have a ton of stretch. So those are great for like a cozy hoodie. I made one out of a bamboo fleece and it's like the coziest sweater, hoodie, jacket. So I really love that one. So that's a great option as well. You can find sweatshirting at a lot of different online retailers as well. Those don't usually have. French terry is another one that sometimes doesn't have a ton of stretch. So those are nice. Speaking of, like I mentioned, sizing down if you get a fabric that's really stretchy. So let's talk about sizing. This is the pattern is drafted to be very roomy, meaning it has ease. You can put it over a long sleeve shirt and you're not like all your shirt all wrinkled up and tight underneath your jacket. Like you're able to wear it like a traditional jacket with ease in it so that it's a layer. So it's interesting because I find a lot of people love to wear very fitted stuff. It's, you're kind of, I guess everyone has their style preference. So if you really like fitted stuff, you may just want to size down. I wouldn't do that. Like if you're at the top end of your sizing and you size down, you might lose a lot of the ease you need just to like hug or to move. I prefer the ease. I really like it when my clothes fit me well enough that I can move around in them and I don't feel a tug, or I don't think I'm going to rip out some stitches whenever I do something, because it does come at a cost if you're sizing down a lot. So I would stick with the measurements and make one in a stretch woven, and then you can get a gauge of how the pattern feels on you before sizing down. But there were testers who sized down and loved what they made. Me personally, I like ease in my clothes to be able to wear them. I'll get off my soapbox now and we'll get into sewing. So I'm going to show you the pieces of the pattern. So today the plan is just to have your fabrics ready, to get all your supplies, make sure you have all those ready. Hopefully you've prepared enough ahead of time that you can get them in. I know right now a lot of people are quarantined, a lot of stores are closed, so you're depending on the mail, which may be slower. So hopefully you can pick everything out that you need ahead of time and have that already in advance. The first thing you're going to need is a zipper. So you need a zipper that is a separating zipper, so not a closed bottom. Let me grab a random zipper. So a closed bottom zip, or this is a separating zipper, meaning that you can completely separate it and then put it back together like a jacket. So it completely separates and then it goes back together. You have to have that. So whenever you go to buy your zipper, the pattern is going to call for a 26-inch zipper. So I bought a lot of 26-inch zippers, and then I made my first one and I thought, I kind of would like to shorten this. I'm 5'2", and usually I don't have to shorten tops. But I also kind of wanted a few jackets that hit me more on my high hip as opposed to lower on my hips. So think about where you want your jacket to hit if you ever remove length from it whenever you order your zipper. So if you usually add an inch or two, you may need to get a longer zipper. So it would be awful if you waited weeks in the mail for a zipper and then you got one and realized that, oh my goodness, this isn't going to fit what I need. So think about that when you order your zipper. So I ended up getting like a variety pack of 24-inch zippers, which also came with bright yellow. And it gave me plenty of zippers to work through several jackets. I was really happy with that purchase. In addition to your separating zipper, so if you're going to be removing 2 inches off the pattern, you're going to need a shorter zipper. And if you're going to be removing, just think about how much you're going to remove, and then that's how much you're going to remove from your zipper length, or how much you're going to add, and that's how much you're going to add to your zipper length. So think about that when you order. If you're not sure, one thing to do is to hold the pattern pieces up against you and kind of think about like where it's going to hit you. Think about your height, how much you usually add or subtract from patterns. You could do a quick mock-up, just grab some random fabric that you have in your stash and just quickly mock it up to see where it hits on you. Okay, so after the zipper, you also, if you want to do the zipper that's on the back, like there's the option for a zipper on the very back pocket, you are going to need like, I think it's like a 6 or 7 inch zipper. I always buy really long zippers and just cut them whenever it comes to a closed bottom zipper, because it's easy to cut those zippers. While this kind of zipper, if you want to change it, it's a lot harder to change the length because you're removing zipper teeth and putting it back on. While a closed bottom zipper, you're just cutting it off and then the rest is in the seam allowance and you can zigzag over it to change the length. And I'll talk about that whenever we put that zipper in. So anyways, order the color zipper you also want for your back pocket if you want to do a back pocket. Okay, so that's zippers and we've covered fabric. You also need interfacing. So whenever you're installing a zipper, it just makes your whole life so much easier if you have a woven interfacing. Now I know this is a knit product, so you think, oh, well, should I get knit interfacing? Well, no, you want woven interfacing because the purpose of the interfacing is to make that area not stretch. So even though the fabric regularly would have stretch, the areas that we're interfacing are areas that we want to be completely still, like the grommet area and the zipper area. So I like, my favorite kind is called Featherweight. It's Pelin Featherweight. It's just like this great weight. I use it on so many projects. It's probably one of my most used interfacing. I get it from Joann's, but I've seen it on Amazon. I've seen it on Etsy. There's lots of different places that you can order it online. And again, it's called Featherweight. So that is the interfacing, the woven interfacing. I will show you. It looks like this. So it's fusible. So that means one side you can iron onto your project. The side that you iron on is the side that's got bumps on it. That's the adhesive side. And then the other side is smooth. So that is your interfacing. And let's see, what else do you need? I mentioned it, grommets. If you are doing the hood or you're doing the drawstring at the bottom of the jacket, you'll need grommets for that. I like to use the 1/4" grommets because that's just enough to be able to get a drawstring through. The 3/8 inch, I feel like they're big. I did them on a hoodie once and I was really disappointed because they just felt like really big. That was just my opinion. So you might like the other one. Whenever they're a 1/4 inch, they're actually called eyelets. It's the 3/8 inch and above that are called grommets. So whenever you go to buy them, you might need to Google eyelets. I use a press. It's from Dritz. I think it was $15 when I bought it. And I've used it so much that it was worth it because it's really easy just to do it with the pliers and your grommet set. Before that, I would hammer them, and sometimes I would hammer them a little too forcefully or not forcefully enough, and I'd bend it. So it was really nice to have that. But if you're good with a hammer and it doesn't scare you to hammer a grommet, then you can definitely just get the grommets and hammer it in, or even get they have like little press kits that help you not to mess them up the way I did whenever I just used the hammer. Okay, so you'll need those. You need 2 for the hood, and then if you also do the drawstring at the bottom, you would need 2 grommets for that. And then let's see, drawstring cord. I make my own on one of my jackets by just sewing a long strip together. I do that if there's like I don't have the color of drawstring that I want. Or you can just get cording. There's lots of different drawstrings and cording section that you need for the hood. For the collar, you don't need grommets. I did see one tester put grommets on her collar. If you just want the look of the grommets, you definitely can do that. Let's see. I think that's everything for supplies. So let me show you the pieces now. Hopefully this video is getting long, so hopefully you haven't tired of me yet. So I will start, like, here's the zipper I got for my jacket. I got a navy zipper. And I'm going to start on the hood. That's just the first piece I have up. It is a lined hood, which means that you're cutting mirror image pieces. So I have my white lining, and there's 2 of those pieces. And then I have my main fabric. This is the stretch like board short that they have at the Fabric Fair. I really like this fabric. It feels really cool. So I'll show that to you. Okay, so I have 2 of the main and 2 of the lining. I made sure I paid attention to my grain line, especially since I have a print and I don't want my print looking like this on my hood. So I lined that up. So you have 4 of those. The hood can be kind of a fabric hog, so pay attention to how you do that. The only thing you need to mark when you're cutting out the hood, let me show you that. So I cut out this little circle right here, and so I can use my marker and then just mark on the hood where I want my grommets. So you'll need that on whatever your main piece is. You'll need that marked on both. So there's that. Then I'm gonna get out my sleeves. So here's my sleeve piece. The sleeve is long on me. I had to remove 2.5 inches, but I usually remove from sleeves and not from body. So it's easy to remove after those. So if you don't remove any length right now, then you can always remove some length afterwards. After, just chop it off and kind of true up your seam right here. So there's a length and shorten line for where you want to remove, and then make sure you mark which is the back of your sleeve. If you forget to mark though, the back is always the one that's higher. And that's cut as mirror images as well. And then you, I'll show you the side front. So on the side front, you're gonna cut those 2 as mirror images, and there's 2 lengths. So one length, this line right here, is if you are using the stretch knit hemband. So if you have some ribbing or some slip plucks or something like that that you're going to use for your bottom band, then you're going to cut on this line. And there's a different pattern piece too for that. But if you're not going to be using that, then you need to cut on this line. And then based on whichever line you cut on, you're going to do that for all of your body pieces, as well as it's going to show you which piece to cut out for your bottom part. And also, if you lengthen or shorten, you're going to want to remove the same amount of length or add the same amount of length on each body piece, as well as make your marks right here. So you can kind of see where I remove my length and how I slowly just smoothed out this right here. So that is mine. I cut mine out of the white stretch woven. See, this is the stretchy. And then here is my main front. And just like I said, again, you're cutting on the correct line, and then you're making your marks in the front. And then if you want to do pockets, which, oh my goodness, why would you not want to do pockets? Pockets is what makes a garment like, I made this and I put pockets in it. So you're going to cut out 2 sets. So there's 2 mirror image sets of your pocket. And you are making a mark right here on those to indicate where you're on your side seam. And then this is the front edge. So I like to keep my pattern pieces in my pocket like right together with them. So when I go to put them in, it's easy for me to quickly make sure I'm putting the front on the front and the side seam on the side seam. Okay, so as far as the back, if you're doing just a solid back, then you cut one of these on the fold. If you're doing a solid back, if you're doing a pieced back, which is, if you want the pocket on the back, you got to do the pieced back to get that. If you're doing the piece back, then you're cutting one of these on the fold. So it's going to look like this. If you want the pocket, you're going to have to cut this part out so that you can not cut it out of this, but cut it out of the paper so you can mark the pocket onto the jacket. And then you're also going to do your side of your back, which looks like this. And I cut 2 out, mirror images. So you have an option of 2 different bottom bands. We didn't talk about it when I was talking about ordering fabric. But you can do the entire jacket just out of stretch woven. If you only are using one type of fabric, like one stretch woven, you can't use the knit band one because this is for a very stretchy fabric. But you'll want to use, there's a different pattern piece for that you'll use. And then also you'll need to get 1.5 inch elastic. I have some sitting on here somewhere. You'll want to get that for your cuffs. But if you want to have a stretchy knit band, you want to get like a heavy supplex or a heavy rib knit. Now, rib knits are not all created equal. Like I've ordered some rib knits. I'm going to show you a few just so you can get an idea of what's a nice rib knit and what's not a nice. Well, I mean, it's not that it's not nice. It's just not appropriate for this project. So you want to have one that like really has good, thick, sturdy recovery. So like this one like bounces right back. Like you can feel that. While this one is a rib knit, just like all the others, but it has got a loose recovery. So like whenever it stretches out, like, so this is kind of like sweatery and drapey, but it's a rib knit, but I probably would not use it for cuffs on a jacket. If you don't have a strong, sturdy rib knit, you could also use a thick cotton lycra, but you want one that has, see, this one's in a tube. Anyways, you want one that has a good spandex content and nice firm recovery. A lot of athletic knits have that, so you can use athletic knits on the cuffs and on the bottom band. Just make sure it coordinates well and that it's going to recover well, because that's an area that you need that stretch to bring in that area of the jacket. Okay, so I don't know if I showed you all the pieces. Okay, yeah, so another one is the facing, the front facing. On this one, you'll want to remove any length that you did from the body, as well as cut on the right line. And you'll cut 2 mirror images. And this is going to be inside your jacket. So just use your scraps, what you want to put there. And the last but not least is your sleeve cuff. You only need this if you are you found a rib knit that you like. Otherwise, remember, you are turning under. And I think that's everything. I'm excited to get started sewing. I hope y'all are all enjoying your week and that the quarantine is doing well. Or if you're still working, then thank you for all that you do. Anyways, so we'll start in a week or so. I'm so excited to sew with you.